everybody, and welcome to our stream. My name is Anya, and today with me is Romario, and we are part of Team Restream. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. It's super hot in London, as much of Europe is right now, but it's super great to have some sun. But otherwise, I'm great. How are you doing?
Nice, very good. Yeah, we actually had a lot of rain in Austin, Texas, and yeah, I'm kind of enjoying a cooler May because the hardcore heat is coming to Texas anytime now because summer is brutal here. But I am super excited to be here today because we are going to talk about one of my favorite things that we do here at Restream, and that is creating clips and highlights from live streams and videos. So this is the topic of our conversation, and today we will be specifically diving into Clip Editor, and we'll share our personal tips and tricks of how to style your clips, how to create that short form content from long videos and truly make it your own, customize everything, and kind of build your own style. So whenever people are watching your main videos and then they find highlights and shorts, that kind of has some kind of like a brand continuity there, and you can truly stay consistent with your looks, with your style, with your designs. So that's what we're talking about today. And Romario is our product manager at Restream. He is leading Restream Clips. So he is the right person to ask all kinds of questions about what Restream Clips are, how they work, and how to edit them. So bring in your questions, your feedback, your experiences with Clip Editor. It was recently renovated, and we'll definitely dive into that. But before we get there, a little bit of housekeeping. We will start with reminding you guys that we are super actively growing all of our channels right now. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube yet, please do that. It really helps us to, right there. Well, right here. It helps us to track progress and kind of find evidence that what we do with those weekly live demos actually makes a difference, that you guys find it useful. So if you can give us that sub, that would be very helpful. We are live on a lot of channels today. We have over 14 channels paired, and we are live in both vertical and horizontal mode, which means we are streaming on Instagram, TikTok, vertical, YouTube, as well as Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube in horizontal if you are on a bigger landscape type screen. So as we are, as we will be diving into chat and of course the demonstration of new Clips Editor, let us know where in the world are you watching from. What country, if you have been using clips before, kind of like what are your stance on short form content? Do you edit them yourself? Do you have a team that helps you to produce those? Do you just kind of like ignore that super important trend that really helps your channels grow? Let us know how that goes. And let's get into a chat for just a second. We have pretty quiet start today. I see that we have Grant from Restream, our moderator, is saying good morning, guys. And Fish Family Links says, greetings, Fish Fam. Good to see you, everybody. All right, so as we are picking up some chat momentum, let us know where you're watching from. This is probably the easiest thing to answer today in the chat. And we can also see all the comments from all platforms. In previous streams, we sometimes get people to ask like, oh, I'm not watching on YouTube. Can you still see my comment? Absolutely, yes. If you're watching on LinkedIn or X or Facebook, still please go ahead and ask your questions, share your feedback, share your requests. We will be taking the questions today. So we do have a little bit of material that we prepared for you to show some things about the new editor and how it works and how to customize your clips. But primarily, this is a Q&A session. So most importantly, we just want to make sure that we answer your questions and have a conversation. So this is not a one-way street. Let us know what you would like to know. And if you even have general questions about vertical content and clipping, then that's also super welcome to.
I'm also really excited to hear if anyone has, you kind of touched on it, ignoring some of the big tips that, the entire market is telling us to jump into. It would be interesting if someone has found their own unique recipe and found a different way to, hack the algorithm, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to see maybe some success stories too. Like if you guys are just starting to use vertical content, if you're just starting to experiment with shorts, with reels, and basically repurposing your longer videos, your webinars, your educational content, your entertainment content into those little snippets. What is kind of your impression? Like, what is your experience For us, when we started that about a year and a half ago, we saw really big numbers in terms of viewership. So our shorts were generating a ton of engagement and views compared to our regular uploads. So we were really excited to see that trend. Specifically, it was very successful on YouTube. And then as we started to add more and more channels like TikTok, Instagram, we basically, our editor, Charles, for a certain period of time, and he'll be joining us in the end, so he might tell more about this. There was a period of time when he was exclusively focusing on creating short and vertical content for our tutorials, for our guides, because that just performed so much better. So now the algorithms shifted again a little bit because more and more people have access to this, more and more people understand that creating short form content is super important. So yeah, let us know how was your experience with shorts, if you had any, and if you saw if you figure out any hacks that everyone else could take advantage of. Let's see. We do have some more chat comments, so I'm going to acknowledge some folks from chat, and then we'll get into the main theme. Technico Media is saying hello from Fort Lauderdale. That's awesome. That's Florida. That's good. Good stuff. Portland, Oregon for Grant. Hi from San Francisco from Quilly Memory. Hello from upstate New York from Blessed Tiffany Show. And there is also, hello, the waving. We still have not fixed
that yet. Waving.
The pink waving, the hand pink waving from Sean from Tennessee. Actually, his YouTube channel already tells us where he's from. And Alex, our head of product, says hello. This is awesome. And Eva is saying, I'm posting YouTube shorts, maximum 20 seconds. That's awesome. Yeah, that's actually another great question to consider and something for us to talk about. Like, what is that optimal duration? And I'm sure, Mario, you have some thoughts on that. I have some thoughts on that too. Like, when is short too long, right? Or when is it too short? And like, what is kind of like that sweet spot? We are not going to spoil it just yet, but I do have a number of seconds in my mind. But yeah, let us know what is working for you best in terms of duration. 20 seconds is pretty short, but like that's awesome. Eva, if you can tell us what kind of content you create, that would also help to understand, because 20 seconds for like maybe a musical show, like a song, versus a snippet from a movie, versus a webinar or like fireside chat, like that's kind of like different 20 seconds, right? So I would be curious to hear what kind of content do you produce? And there are already a few questions, which are super cool. Technical Media is asking, does the clips constantly collect analytics once it's posted, and is there a cutoff time? That's a good question, because we recently did add live clip views to analytics. Mm-hmm. Where can people see how clips perform? Like, what is the best?
Yeah. So there's a couple of places. One is doing it directly within the project that you published from. You'll see the view count right there. There's no cutoff for that. What you can also see in terms of views is also if you go to a streamed analytics page. So obviously, if you've created a stream and automatically generated clips from that stream, you will also be able to see the views in that. And we recently shipped that, I think, probably a week or so ago. So we are really kind of putting all of your most important insights right in kind of one central area, so people can understand like what's really driving their viewership, whether that's the stream or it's kind of the post-production. So to answer your question, like right now, there's no cutoff time. We pull what is the latest number of views from that end platform. But the deeper and deeper we go into like building additional insights, whether that's like comments, etc., that will be like on a per platform basis. But right now, views, there's no cutoff time. You're always seeing the latest amount of views.
Love it. That is super cool. There are a few more questions already, so we are going to focus on them first before we show you some more material, because this is a Q&A and this is live, so let's take advantage of it and make sure we actually talk to folks. Question from Tiffany is, brand new to Restream, are the clips automatically created and then sent to our multi-stream channels? So pretty basic question. I love it. Romaro, do you want to break down kind of like the very flow when you go live, what happens?
Yeah, for sure. So if you are using Restream to actually stream and multi-broadcast, and you have a clip subscription, you have the option to turn on autopilot. Autopilot essentially allows you to, the minute your stream ends, to actually go and start creating clips out of all of that stream's recording. So in a sense, you can decide whether or not you want that to be automatic. Some people don't want it to be automatic. We highly recommend just going automatic and having that already created. You know, the minute you stop your stream, go get a coffee, you come back in a few minutes and you already have all of your clips ready. In terms of automatically posting, this is not something we support just yet. We actually are working on this right now. And kind of another layer to it is the concept of live clipping. So if it's very important for you to kind of draw viewership back to your current stream that you're in, or potentially you want to share like incredibly like in the moment content with your audience, maybe news or sports, live clipping essentially allows you to, while you're streaming, we actually already are generating those clips. And we are going to be releasing auto posting very soon, which will automatically allow those clips to just go out to your audience without you lifting a finger. So we're building kind of a whole bunch of different use cases and automations that will work for all types of scenarios and kind of use cases that suit you specifically as a producer or creator.
And just to give you a quick look, I'm just going to share my screen real quick with analytics, because for those people who are new to Restream and completely new to analytics, just very quickly, this is basically, well, we can even start at home, right? Like this is my Restream, and this is my clip. my Restream home screen, right? From here, obviously we're live here. I have plenty of drafts. If I go to analytics and I select the stream where, and that's us, where I know that I produce clips from, right? Like some of this, like this was actually pre-recorded, but this one, why West streams are not actually live, I can click on this, and then in our analytics per stream, we now have a whole dedicated clips views section, right? So you can actually see the clips that we posted, and it gives me the overview of total views for clips, and it gives me the breakdown for platforms. In this scenario, we currently do not have the API to collect views from X, but we're also working on that. And you can also view project from here. It's pretty cool because it just kind of like directs you into the clips. And oh my God, we're going to be spilling some secrets here with the timeline.
Spill the beans.
But oh well, I'm going to stop sharing real quick here. And yeah, but that is basically how you can find those analytics for the clips that you posted while you were live. Great question here. How does AI basically enumerate the segment to determine virality? Like how do we think about virality scores, and like what is our kind of go-to, like what makes a clip a 9 out of 10 according to our system?
Sure. So virality score is not directly an answer to the likelihood you're going to go completely viral, right, and get 1 million views. It's really about how likely is that content going to engage with an end audience. So what we look at is the transcript. We understand kind of the sentiment within that specific section. We then kind of look at like all in all, like what is that actually in terms of like, are there any hooks in there? Is there any kind of interesting use cases mentioned? Like what would make this really attractive to an end watcher, right, or an end viewer? And that's just basically done on a simple model and looks at kind of content outside of Restream. So it's less about like this specific clip is going to go viral with millions of views. It's more about how actually engaging is this piece of content in isolation.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, our AI model primarily works with language. So important reminder that if your streams do not have a lot of conversation and a lot of speech in it, it's going to be very difficult for us to determine its virality, because if they're nonverbal, we go off the text and like how engaging the content is based on the words, like the spoken language. So that is going to significantly change how accurate the scoring is. So just keep that in mind if you're podcasting, if you're doing demos, if you're doing interviews, conversation, featuring customers, announcing things, talking about news, doing sports commentary. Like all of that stuff is going to perform really well. And those scores are probably going to be pretty accurate. If you're doing something that is, I remember very early on, like that's a cool anecdote. I remember very early on, I was reviewing a lot of clips. And I noticed that a lot of musicians actually use restream clipping because that's a great use case. If you're making your own music or if you're playing in a band, you basically create a little snippet of your performance, and then that becomes kind of like your top of the funnel. And then you invite people to check out your channel and learn more about your music, eventually land them hopefully on Spotify or places where they can purchase and donate for your art. So it's like a very nice flow. However, when it comes to clips, the clip is trying to figure out like what part of the song is the most viral, right? So it's going to pick a certain like lyrics that it feels like is going to be the most kind of like, so it doesn't really necessarily understand like the tune, like the musical part of that, like which part is just like it just picks the lines that is like, okay, so this is a cool line. So like that becomes a clip. So keep that in mind that depending on the type of content, the score accuracy can vary. But if you are primarily talking on camera, then you should be good to go.
You're good.
And Eva is saying kittens mostly, and that's the answer to the question of what kind of content. So kittens don't talk, so the virality score is probably not going to be very accurate. But fortunately, kittens virality score is like always 10 out of 10. So that is my personal. You cannot go wrong with a vertical clip of a kitten. Vertical clips rock. That is true. And hey from Gleep. Hi there. Good to see you. And we have folks checking in from Memphis, Tennessee. Good stuff. Speaking of music, right? All right. Well, let's go ahead and give a quick reminder of what restream clips are. And then from there, we'll transition into editor and how to customize and make them your own. So we'll let Charles take it away.
Who has time to manually edit and post 30 shorts a week? Everyone needs restream clips. Just upload a video and it automatically finds the best moments, auto frames them, adds captions, and if you want, B-roll. And if you go live with Restream, your clips can be ready before the stream even ends. Then, instead of logging into 5 different apps to post, when you are happy and you're ready to publish, choose your platforms, make individual title and description changes that you'd like, and publish to TikTok, Reels, Shorts, LinkedIn, X, and more, all at the same time. Stop wasting hours editing and uploading. Give Restream clips a go.
So that is just a very quick overview of what Restream clips are. And in this QR code in the corner, you can also see our landing page. So it gives you a little bit more of a breakdown of how exactly that works, what you need to do. But in a nutshell, it's pretty simple. Every time you go live or record with Restream, if you have a Restream Clip subscription, which is an add-on, you can actually in your settings, choose a setting when you say, I want clips generated all the time. And we'll actually go into that setting towards the end of the show just to show you like what kind of controls you have there. But if you simply enable autopilot, like every time you go live, the clips will be generated automatically. Once the clips are generated, you can post them at the same time on multiple channels, just like we showed in the video. And if you want to work a little bit on them and tune them and customize and brand them a little bit, you will need to use our powerful editor. And this is the core topic of our conversation today. So the editor did change a little bit. We gave it a little bit of a makeover. We feel like it became a little bit more intuitive and a little more clean in terms of interface. But yeah, what would you say are the major improvements and kind of like value adds of the new editor versus the OG?
Yeah, for sure. I think the core is definitely just the user experience has completely shifted. I think the word we're probably missing here is just powerful. I think we in the past had the concept of style presets, which was the only way you could actually define like your essence and your brand essence. And I think this new version of the editor has really leveled up on like what is brand essence, and it goes beyond just basically your font. We really have taken up a notch in terms of all these different features. So we can go through it one by one, but I think like at a high level, we now have the concept of selecting which kind of frames you like and kind of setting that to your style. We also have the concept of a new focus mode, which allows you to define whether or not you want to see 2 speakers or not. And I think the other great thing is just the fact that we've made it more robust in terms of what kind of content you can add on, right? So the goal of Restream Clips is obviously to create the content for you, and this is really supposed to get you to like 98% of the way, and the 2% is for you to come here and finesse a little bit. So this is all about finessing, and we're excited to go through each one of these features with you today.
Yeah, I actually wanted to add to, you made a very good point that primarily Restream Clips are designed in such a way that you should not even know the editor exists, right? Yeah. As funny as it is that today we want to really dive into editor and styling, this is for people who are very particular about their brand. A lot of times that would be appropriate for companies and marketing teams, and again, teams that have kind of like a lot at stake when they absolutely have certain guardrails, certain things that the expectations of branding, colors, styles, and things like that. For the overwhelming majority of creators, clips, as they come automatically, are going to do the job, right? So most of you might not even use the editor. But those of you who really want to take that extra step, you will be surprised how intuitive and user-friendly the editor is. My personal experience in editing is extremely minimal. I would say my go-to editing software is iMovies on Mac. Like it's a great piece of software when I need to edit out like some family stuff or like things for my friends, because I'm also that go-to friend when people are like, hey, I'm working on my video resume, like I need help. Like it's always, it usually comes to me. But that is kind of like the extent of my skills, right? Like I'm not a professional editor. I will be very lost in Premiere or Final Cut. And even with my skill level, the clip editor is extremely easy to use. So since the very beginning, even the older version of it, it was very easy because it focuses on just very core pain points that your clips might have. And we're going to go through each and every one of them in the next 30 minutes. But that ease of use, I really want to drill this in because a lot of people get intimidated by the idea of editing and repurposing content, and they believe that they have to hire a professional. With Restream Clips, and that comes with this powerful editor, your skill set being at minimal is actually good. You will actually enjoy the editor more because if you are a professional editor, you might start looking for certain things that you're used to that are way more complicated. The editor that we have is much more simplified. And we actually do have our professional editor, Charles, who you see here, kind of smiling, slightly smirking at us from this little screenshot. He will be joining in and kind of giving his perspective of how professional editor, when he joins in and works with the Clips editor, like what are some kind of like interesting things and nuances that he notices. But as a person who has very limited, if any, editing skills, I would say that was a breeze for me to figure out. So definitely good thing. So based on our observations, and Romario, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, the most common thing that people battle with, or I guess like not necessarily battle, but one of the things that people find more difficult is framing, right? Like, so depending on how many people you have in your video, in your conversation, depending where they are positions, and that was intended pun to make this little flip because I'm used to looking at you here. So framing people in your vertical clip when you have a show with 2 speakers, maybe 4 speakers, is probably the most kind of complicated thing for AI to figure out, as well as for the creator to kind of like find that sweet spot of what works for them. So what are your thoughts on framing? Like how does it get achieved automatically? How good did we get in framing automatically? And spoiler, we got a lot better since we started. And then the next thing is sometimes clips do still come framed not exactly as you want, and we will show you a few ways how to combat that. But how do you feel about framing improving in general for in the automated version?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest improvement we've made that it really kind of sets the baseline for additional reframing is the concept of who are we focusing on. In the past, we always had the concept of we would just basically, whichever face we had, if there was a face, you would be framed in, right? And that works for some people, and for others, they don't really like that. So we essentially created a focus mode that allows you to always just focus on an active speaker. So in this case, it will be framing me right now. Even though Anya is nodding, she's not an active speaker. Or we have the concept of everyone, which is I'm speaking, and you would actually still like to have Anya's face in the clip and see a reaction. And I think this really is the biggest unlock, because at the end of the day, clip quality comes down to subjective taste and your branding style. I see lots of podcasts that focus on just active speaker, and you would only see kind of quick, fast switches. But then you have kind of like a really in-depth emotional podcast where it's actually quite important to see two people kind of interacting, because there are a lot of nonverbal cues and emotions that you can see through having everyone focused on. So I think that has been the biggest unlock for us. And beyond that, that's when the reframing actually feels even more powerful. Like you'll see that the framing that we offer, we can actually maybe switch to that scene and we can have a look. We haven't introduced new framing styles. They're all pretty much the same as before.
This one, right? Or
yeah. So you'll see that the layouts that we have available here, we already had before, but the concept of focus mode, allowing to switch between active speaker and everyone, really makes reframing so much more powerful. And I think the biggest unlock here now is that you can actually save the layouts and the focus mode as a template, and it'll be used automatically for future generations. So once you have a kind of style and reframing and layouts that you really like, we can actually start applying that for all your future generations. So the goal is we want you to use this feature less and less, actually. If you're using a feature manually all the time, we're not doing a good enough job of taking the weight off of you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like how you could put that, because with templating, which is another new feature of the new editor, which we'll demonstrate in a minute, a lot of those things can be predetermined, and once you determine them, they apply to all of your projects, all of your clips. But it is important to make that decision, right? Like I personally like when speakers stagger on top of each other, and you see the emotions and the reactions. But I do see value in certain type of content, especially when it's not necessarily kind of like back and forth in a conversation, to just give the full screen and full space to the active speaker. Or if you're interviewing speakers that are kind of like VIPs or like celebrities, right? Like you definitely want to give them the whole screen. So there are different variations there. And actually it's interesting because we are about to show you how to reframe your clip should you need to. But I do want to call out this one comment here in the chat from Tiffany. She says, yes, framing, since I have a friend, we banter and laugh while we talk. So we want both of us there. So that is exactly the example when your decision and like your preset should be show two speakers at the same time, so you can capture those reactions. While somebody else the kittens show might be like, you know what, we just want to show one kitten at a time. That's all people need. One at a time. All right, so reframing. Here is a quick demonstration of what you want to do in case your clip came out focused on one speaker and you would like to change that orientation, right? So you start with one speaker, and then you basically you make sure you adjust your layout to having people staggered, and then you can adjust their position and their look. And I'm going to replay this. I'm going to actually play it on the loop, because this is super cool, because this allows you to have two speakers in your vertical clip, even if they were in the same room. And this is exactly why we're demonstrating here, because this was the conversation that we had with our head of product when he was sitting next to me. And normally when you have two people like Romario and I today joining from different cameras, right? Like it's more common for AI to naturally just kind of like put us together because we're two different sources. But when you are together in the same room, clips tends to kind of focus on one person, right? Because they're just like, okay, we don't know we don't know where these people are going to move, where they're going to go, so we're just going to stick with one face. But this reframing actually gives you the opportunity to course correct that a little bit if it is important for you to switch to a different speaker, either for a reaction or because they started to talk and the shift didn't happen quite quickly enough.
I think what's also really cool about this is you can see that the clip was generated with speaker mode enabled. So that was in that template that we used.
Yeah.
But you can still course correct even after generation. So in this case, we actually realized, no, actually, we would want to see multiple kind of speakers and engagements. So here we're just manually doing that ourselves, and it's still pretty simple.
Yeah. And how clean it looks, even though we're in the same room. Like, it just gives you this very easy, intuitive kind of square. Let me get to this place. Here we go. As it zoomed, I'm just going to pause it. So you basically have this little frame, and then you can move it however you want. So it's like very visually and intuitive for anyone who, like, you don't have to like think about it too much, right? Like, you just basically move the square, and then you look at the preview, and once you like what you see, that becomes your clip. Then you it saves automatically, and then you download it or multi-post once you're satisfied. Good stuff. The next thing that editor is covering is the layout. So here, actually, this is a nice segue from reframing of who appears in the focus to how exactly are they positioned, because there are multiple different layouts. And in this little clip, we're going to show you what your options look like, right? So I'm going to actually, we'll play it. So in this specific clip, where we have two people talking and we have some kind of media, right? In this case, it's a quote from a customer. We're trying to figure out, like, how do we want to feature it? Do we want to give it the whole space with a little bit of blur? Do we want to show it on top? Or maybe we simply change the layout to just like two speakers. But then you can actually change even like the number of slots, right? Like, so here, the transition goes from two people or two sources staggered upon each other into the space where you can have actually kind of like a three-way, right? And let me see if we can, maybe we can get like a better screenshot of just layouts. Maybe our co-producer will get us a little image that just shows what layouts are available, because it's actually pretty interesting. It's kind of very tiny right now, but we'll zoom it in just a second, hopefully. There are how many are there? Like, it's like 9 layouts, right? Like 9 different variations of how you can position sources. Is that right, Roman?
Yeah, I think it's 8 or 9. I can't remember the exact number, but yeah, we have majority of the time, I think the split one is the most useful, but there are cases where, gaming, another different layout will make more sense. Like, a bubble is quite an interesting one. I think for us, we like to keep it quite simple. We always are engaging just 2 people. There are obviously cases where we do a screen share, and in that case, having kind of the split layout with a actual media makes the most sense. In some scenarios, like if you have active speaker as the focus mode, and you actually do have a couple people guessing your actual stream, and you add a media. Oh, well, this is very meta, actually.
I know. I was hoping it would be from a different show, but that's okay. That works. No, it's awesome, because as you can see, it was done literally live. This is the Godspeed of our co-producers. They're just like, oh, okay, we'll just do it with you. Thanks, Charles. Good one. But yeah, those are basically like they're very intuitive, and they kind of like show you sort of kind of like how the screen will be shared. Yeah. We definitely favor the equal dual speaker or the single speaker. I personally think that those are the two like best layouts. But if you do have 4 speakers, so obviously here this option is grayed out because we just don't have 4 people, so we cannot feature 4. But if you do have 4 speakers, you can position them as a little I guess like chess pieces.
Or if you have media, then the one in top left bottom makes the most sense. Where media would become kind of the focal point, and these speakers would be kind of secondary to that.
Yes, and that's kind of exactly what we achieved here eventually, because when see, like that is basically the layout, like how it comes out. If you have a media like a quote or a presentation, or you're sharing a screen, maybe you're playing a video, doing a demonstration, coding, like that is a really cool way to show exactly what you're referencing, and then you have two speakers under. A lot of times people added horizontal streams into that look because it provides a lot of context. It's just like it shows you immediately what you're talking about. But with Restream clips, you can you can basically preset it this way, and you can do it. You can reframe it pretty easily. Nice. So those are your layouts, and please keep bringing your questions in the chat. We would love to break down if you have any favorite layouts, if you have layouts that you would like to see that are not listed here, and maybe what are the use case for those layouts. I do think it covers most of the cases. So for people who have a lot of speakers, let's say not 4 but 8, what is kind of like your recommendation? Like how would you think about featuring a big panel in the short vertical clip?
I think that would be very difficult, firstly.
Yeah.
I think what will likely happen if you do want to actually see everyone, my assumption is that the model will not be able to fit everyone in, because obviously the max amount that we allow is 4 at the moment. But if you want to do it quite cleverly, is you could potentially split a scene in half and just reframe and move those actual frames to those other people if you want to give them kind of equal viewership. But I think what's likely will happen is that it will focus on the people that have the most kind of visual kind of language in their face.
Yeah, conversation. Yeah. It's very rare, in my opinion, for a panel to have 8 people talking at the same time. If that's happening in your show, that's
sort it out.
Sort it out. That's true. For the most part, you will have maybe 2 people kind of interacting, right? And maybe a few people who have some interesting emotional reactions or just interesting backgrounds or something that's cool. Even when you have 8 people, I think you're exactly right. Like you'd be better off kind of rotating between either split screen or even, honestly, with 8 people panel, I would go for just focusing on one speaker and just switching them as they become more active, or as they react, or as they actually say or add on to the conversation, versus trying to fit in 4 and then like switch the 4. That's kind of like gives us a Zoom level webinar taste and touch. And I'm personally not a fan of that. So I would go for like bigger focus on one speaker, maximum 2. So that would be my solution. Let's see. We do have a few questions in the chat, and I would love to address them before we move on with our presentation, with our tips and tricks on how to reframe. So one question is actually about duration, which we don't have like a lot of material on. What should, how long should I make it? 20, 30, and 40, minutes. Seconds, I think. I think we're thinking in seconds when it comes to clips. My sweet spot, I would say, is under 30 seconds, and I'll tell you why. Because I think, Romero, you and I worked a little bit on that, right? Like when we were working on live clipping, and when we were selecting like what would be the most kind of interesting, like how do you capture the context, but also do not make it overwhelming? And we kind of figured out that something around or under 30 seconds is that sweet spot. Like you can actually get like a very nice, snappy, punchy highlight of the conversation within that time frame. And it is it's such an easy ask from a viewer to commit 30 seconds to watch something. That, and especially if it's under, let's say you achieved with streaming, which we'll show in just a second, you achieved like a 29 or 25 second thing, right? And that segment will always look so appealing because like everyone has 20 seconds. Even in this crazy world when everything is just like running like crazy and is on steroid, like everyone has 20 seconds. So to me, it is psychologically very, very inviting. It also gives you the opportunity to really think about like what is the core point, right? Like what is the most punchy and concise way to say what you want to say. And like, so that's my personal preference, between 20 and 30 seconds, never more than 30. What are you thinking on that?
I agree. I think, again, it's also dependent on the kind of creator you are and like what kind of content you're creating. There's probably a world where long form content, we call it, just over 20 seconds, it's already long form, is also appealing, but I think it really depends on what it is. So what could be interesting is like a very emotional story, or watching a cooking video. I think it's quite dependent on that. But I'd say that the longer your clip is, the more important the hook becomes, right? Because you really need to nail those first few seconds to know, is this person, like, is it worth me investing my time into this long form 30-second clip? So I think that's it. If you want to produce something that is a bit more long form and tells like a really long story, I think again the first few seconds become ever more important than if it was just flat out 20 seconds.
Hook is definitely the key for whatever you do with short form content. So it's basically hook, then the core, and then the payoff, right? Like how do you grab the attention, and you have up to 3 seconds to influence the decision of continuing to watch it or keep scrolling or drop. And then if the person did get hooked, then the golden rule is that at the end, you should give them some kind of a payoff, right? Like they should feel satisfied. So if you tell them like, hey, I have a secret, I know how you can get thousands of views immediately without producing any extra piece of content, right? Like, okay, I'm listening, I'm interested. In the end, you kind of have to tell them that, okay, things like clips allow you to repurpose your existing content into short snippets, and then you, and because algorithms promote that type of content, and basically for the algorithm to understand if this clip is interesting or not, it absolutely has to show it to multiple people. That creates this kind of like virality opportunity. And because platforms have to push it to understand if it's interesting or not, if it happens to be interesting and it is shown to right people, then it starts picking up the views. And that can go into infinity in terms of the numbers. That would be my pro tip as well. Like really think about the content. What is in that clip is way more important than how many seconds that is. But my personal preference is to keep it short and punchy, because you do have limited amount of attention, and when you're asking somebody to give you that attention, the less is the ask, the easier that you'll get it.
One thing I've noticed, I don't know if you have either, is more and more creators that have potentially like longer form content that doesn't fit into a single clip. What they're starting to do is watch for part 2 right at the end, so kind of tease the next clip. I think that's a really smart way if you potentially are struggling to fit your entire message within 20 seconds. Get a hook in, share your core message, and then if you can't give it to them in that 20 seconds, watch for part 2 is a clever way to get people to come back or follow you already because they're waiting for that next clip to drop.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually very cool. Yeah, so that basically you're postponing the payoff and asking them to engage with another piece of content in order to get that payoff. Yeah, that's very smart.
Delayed gratification in the social media world, which is rare. So
which is very rare. And I wonder if people really go for it. I think I would go for it if I was really hooked. I would be like, whatever. I'll watch 3 parts if I need to.
I think I'm watching too many renovation channels. That's probably the reason.
And
too much architecture.
They do that a lot. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, oh, hey, this is how we started. Like, want to see the after? Click here. Yeah, that's good. I love that. That's a good technique. Great question from Technical Media. Is reframing for vertical clips only, or can it be used for wide format as well? Guess I can use scenes layout for wide format. For the clips that you make with Restream, you can use editor on all the formats. We have vertical, square, and just the regular landscape. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. And we have recently added portrait, which is like 4x5. Which is slightly shorter than like your standard vertical.
Yep.
Which allows you to post onto a feed as well. So we have 4 formats.
Yeah, absolutely. And the editor applies to all of them, and you can easily adjust that format. So right here you can see in our screenshot that you have the the formatting, like it is set to original, which is going to be your landscape. And you can change from original. There's a drop-down menu that gives you this option to do vertical or square, which is preferred for Instagram. Good stuff. Thanks, Charles, for the prop. All right. So how do you actually make your clip shorter, right? Like we talked about 20, 30, 60 seconds. What if the clips originally came? So first of all, you can actually set it up, right? So in your settings, you have an opportunity to tell us what kind of duration for a clip you typically want. So let me actually go to, I'm going to show you my clips setting screen. But in the meantime, if you did receive a clip that you absolutely love, but you feel like you could just trim it a little bit or extend a little bit, the trimmer is the tool that you'll need to use, and that is how it looks. Oops, wrong thing. Sorry. This is the one.
We spilled the beans.
I mean, most of you are probably wearing a hat that says "Just Ship Things." We're giving out swag. Maybe there's a few left, and that was maybe the mantra about a year ago.
So this is your little kind of like little Caesar tool, and then you basically select.
Most of you are probably wearing a hat that says "Just Ship Things," and that was maybe the mantra about a year ago. But
so yeah, the point here is that he actually. So this was actually a real event by Raycast that we helped co-produce, and this is the conversation with the CTO of Vercel, and he's talking. He's answering a question from the audience, I believe, and. You know, he like does this little plug about the swag, which is perfectly awesome for the in-person event. But when they're clipping it, they just want to cut to the core point, right? Like, and basically, the trimmer allows you to remove any filler words or any kind of getting off the point with like a simple motion of that scissors tool. What I really love about trimming in Restream Editor, Clips Editor, is that you add a text and that edits the video. You have an option to edit your timeline as well. And if you are a proficient, advanced user of editing tools like Premiere, you're probably pretty used to editing on the timeline. But people like me are not used to that. Like for me, it's very difficult to figure out like where on the timeline the specific sentence ends. So editing text gives you this like extra layer of simplicity where you can accomplish changing exactly, and you can just focus on the messaging. Okay, so this is a filler word. This is the part that I'm not necessarily super interested in keeping, and then you simply just cut it. So yeah, that's how the trimmer works. I'm actually going to mute it and just play it one more time, just so you can see like how the flow goes. But yeah, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think another handy trick here is that, like Anya mentioned, if you're a video producer, you're pretty used to going on a timeline and going like second by second or split second. Whereas having kind of the transcript and being able to trim based on transcript is super, super useful. If you maybe can't play sound, you're in maybe a location where you don't have headphones. But I think on top of that, you might already know some of the context. Like in this case, we don't want to mention swag. You can actually just use the search in the top right and look for words that you already are aware of that are in that video, and you can find that information much faster. So I think being able to trim via transcript is not only more powerful than timeline because it's just easier to scan words, but also it's faster to find the thing you want to trim out with search.
Yes, and I promised to show you how to show the settings. And I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen because I think it's easier to actually walk you through that in a more dynamic way. So this is so weird. Why every time we get the screen share, we get this interesting layout, extra interesting. All right, so here is your settings. How do you get there is you start on your dashboard, and then you click on clips, and then from clips you click on clips settings. So I can actually go through the whole process, right? So this is your dashboard that you're familiar with. You click clips, and then from this little gear icon, you get into this space. And this is where you can set up your autopilot. So that basically tells us that every time you go live, you want to produce clips automatically. And every recording or live show will end with a good set of clips that are ready for you to post right after you're done. If you want to post clips while you are still live, which is what we're doing today, by the way, we did post a couple of batches already on YouTube, X, and LinkedIn. So if you're watching on one of those platforms, you can look at Restream page or Restream channel, and you will find those short clips that are from the video that we are still hosting, which is super exciting. So that's live clipping. If you enable that, then you start getting the clips as you are as you're hosting. But those are some other languages. So we have you can set up your language. You can choose how many clips do you want per generation, right? Per show, and this is your setting for the amount of seconds, right? So let me zoom it in a little bit so you can see it a little better. So you can create clips up to 2-3 minutes. Like this, in my opinion, is extra long. But for some type of content, that might actually work, like cooking shows or some of those renovations. Ours is set for under 30 seconds because that's kind of my preference. I like to have it short and snappy. But those are the options that you have. And again, with Trimmer, it's very easy for you to come back and actually, adjust a little bit. So if you need a few extra seconds or a few less, that's very easy to do. Good stuff. Two other things I want to talk about. Of course, templating. We'll come back to this in a second. But there's also a super important part of any vertical content, and that's captions. A lot of times when we think about clips, even like when you want to visualize them, we imagine a vertical video and writing captions, like writing text, right? Kind of like comic style. So the customization of captions is probably one thing that can truly reflect your brand, your style, your design, your taste. And with new Clips editor, you do have a few options of how you can express your captions. So let's take a look. So basically in your captions, you can, let me see what's going on here. So of course you can edit your captions live in real time, which is really cool. So for example, if something got misspelled, certain words, you can actually change them. You can
invest, like
oops,
to promote this type of.
I've got a little extra audio. So you can change the. I believe we do have so you can translate captions. That's another super cool opportunity to reach other audiences. So for example, if you are if you have certain regions where your streams are popular, actually for us, it would probably make sense to do captions, to create clips with English and with Spanish captions, because I know we have a lot of creators in South America and Spanish speakers, probably Portuguese speakers as well. So creating those captions in their language is kind of like a nice little gesture. It's way less difficult than dubbing, but it does give people context, and it allows you to unlock these other regions and these other opportunities. So that's basically where we showed how you can translate your captions into many, many languages for your clips. But there are also other customizations. Romero, do you want to talk about a few other things that you can customize when it comes to captioning?
Yeah, for sure. I think just in this view right now, you also have the ability to set like different emojis on that actual caption line. So this is another option you have with your templating settings, is to define whether or not you want emojis. Again, stylistic choice, subjective, but you get to choose between a different, there's like 3 different libraries of emojis. I think beyond that, like the core thing is the actual style of the caption. We've mostly brought over everything we had before in terms of the number of fonts, the color choices, but the things that we've really expanded on is actually the different animations that are used to kind of introduce those captions as they come in line. I think all in all, like this has been probably the most robust so far. All we've done is actually taken it a little step further, specifically for highlights. So you can see there, you can change that. So I think like the biggest unlock here is the fact that we've expanded on what is possible for your style, which is more so not the font, but all the kind of secondary items around actually presenting that. So animations, highlighting, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I love that. So this is also really cool because like playing with styles that can take like the whole the whole stream, right? Like you can talk about how the position of your captions, like for example, if I change this percentage to 100, that kind of like lowers it, or 100 is probably a really bad idea, but you can kind of move it around, and basically you can also do that with a free form on the screen. I personally love this the most because for me it's really hard to visualize. I mean, sometimes you can kind of imagine what is the percentage, like in which percentage of the screen that would go, but it's a little easier for me personally to just like move it like this. I like that the animation also has like a variety of different like ways how you can express it, and of course you have the collection of fonts, which is pretty big in my opinion. I guess the trivia question: do you know how many fonts are available in typography?
Too many.
Yeah,
but you can also upload your own,
which is so cool. So this is when it becomes. Let me see. How do you do that? Is it in the very end, or here, upload your font? Okay, perfect. Yeah. So and then you basically just select your brand personal font. That is super big for media channels, for companies that like have to have something like New York Times. You know, like if you're New York Times, you have to have this Times font for your captions, and now you have the option to do that. And of course, certain colors and effects, which are really interesting, and the displays.
Yeah, displays are super useful as well. I think if you really care about making sure this works for as many platforms as possible, like there's safe areas you need to consider. Again, it's a stylistic choice of whether or not you want 1 line or 2 lines. I've looked at so many different podcasts and creators and how they do it, and what I've noticed is the majority either stick to 1 line or 2 lines, but maybe you want a different flair, you know, bump it up. You can also
if I make it 10 lines.
Make it 10. Ooh. I don't think we have 10.
I think it really ends at 4, which is for the best of viewer experience. But yeah, I do think like you can actually see how 1 line is literally much. I think it looks cleaner, right?
I prefer 1 line generally.
Yeah.
I think another thing I'd like to add here is this is a lot to set up, and maybe many people don't have the time or the patience, or actually just don't have maybe the eye for it. So I really suggest like starting with presets. So we have that tab there right next to style, where you can select something, and the minute you grab that, you can go back into style and kind of finesse it as to how you prefer it. So really presets are a fast way to, you know, get started and then make it your own.
This is so cool. Yeah. So it gives you kind of
a jumpstart.
Yeah. And it shows you pretty much exactly how this is going to look, right? Like, even if you hover over it, I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me zoom in, but it doesn't really zoom in on this. I have a way to do it. Zoom. So you can see that if I hover over it, it kind of shows me how this is going to play out. So even in this previews, I can already see. Yeah, I get a feel of how exactly this is going to look. Good stuff. I actually did not play with these presets enough. That's why I look so excited and so surprised by them because they did change a lot compared to the previous version. And I think, this is becoming kind of one of my favorite parts. It's really cool. Let us know if you use this already, and if you have a favorite preset. It's always good to hear what works. And that's a nice little a little segue to templating. Like, this is one of the biggest probably changes compared to our previous version, where we did not have the opportunity for you to template, and especially to, like, we had like presets, right? But they were not necessarily as robust and as powerful as templates. So let's get to it. Like, what can you do with templates?
So templates cover, as Anya said, way more than what we had before. Previously, you could just save essential caption styles, But beyond that, we didn't really give you the ability to really create these on-brand moments. So whether that's your framing, whether that's kind of elements. So I think all in all, like templates now cover the actual layouts and speaker mode you prefer, which I said is like a really big unlock to just making it faster for you to get your content out. The other one is obviously we've expanded everything within captions. So it's not just about the font and the color. We've also now allowed you to update the how it displays, the number of lines, the animation of those captions coming in and out, and how they highlight. And then another one that we also added is the ability to upload a logo and set a position, and you can now also have that as part of your template. So templates now more and more is going to kind of cover as many bases as possible from like your style. Outside of that, like within clip settings, you can obviously set how many clips you want and the duration. But when it comes down to the actual like the creative direction of your clips, it's really expanded from just this is a caption style to really these are the captions, these are the layouts, and these are all the elements that I want to have within a kind of reproducible way.
Nice. Yeah, I really think this is so helpful because it's such a time saver. If once for people who are just exploring and experimenting, it might be interesting to try different things and kind of add a little bit of diversity in how their clips are showing up. But once you determine what works and what looks good, it's just so helpful to have that little drop-down menu and just be like, okay, apply this to all clips. I want this style, and I don't have to worry about it. Huge time saver, very efficient, and and that's basically how you find those. So you create that template, you name it like a co-host, and then under that drop-down menu, you can kind of transition between them, and that immediately applies all the changes, all the preferences, all the stylistic choices to the clips in that project, I believe, right? It's not just this specific clip, it's going to be everything.
It will only be in this specific clip. That's something that we are looking at to do for the entire project. But right now it's on a kind of clip basis.
Clip to clip basis.
So
but in settings, if you
Yes.
if you preset some of those things in settings, that will apply to the whole project, to the whole stream. Okay.
Exactly. For any future projects, if you've defined a new template, those future projects will have those stylistic preferences.
And then eventually in our settings, we hope to bring in the option to select that template, right? Like when you're setting up. So for example, the thing that I showed earlier where you have, I want 30-second clips. I want to make sure they're vertical. I want to make sure that they are in English language. I want captions to be like this. So like all those things hopefully will be preset for the upcoming stream.
Yeah, so we've got a couple things already exposed there. So you can select any existing template in our clip settings. You can start manipulating certain things. So potentially you've realized your template, you don't actually want emojis anymore. You can do that without actually opening the editor and updating the template. Over time, we're going to be introducing more and more of the like editor experience into template making outside of the editor. Our goal is to make that as seamless as possible. Right now, we can't visually show you in settings when you're manipulating. We kind of need the editor experience to show you the outcomes of the things you're tweaking. Once we have that, then we essentially will have total control in clip settings to define kind of your style.
Awesome. Love that. Let's take a few questions. We do have a few comments in the chat. I'm going to take a few right now, and then it's going to be teaser time that we already spilled and a wrap. So if you still have any questions about Restream clips, live clipping, clipping after the show, or our clips editor, the powerful editor that lets you make your clips your own, create your own style and design for your vertical content, now is the time to drop those questions in the chat. All right. We have a question about, let me get my little pinned questions, about the hook. Can I reuse my hook and then add a new secondary topic? For example, from highlighting my near-death experience. And then basically the question is, can I use the same hook if I did figure out something very powerful and then add a different kind of payoff to that? I'm trying to think. That's why I'm kind of like getting a little slow here, because I'm trying to think how you could potentially achieve that with editor. The only thing I can think of is use trimmer and basically trim the clip such that you have that powerful hook, and then you trim out, or basically you keep the first response to that hook, and then you save, download, or post that clip, and then you come back to the editor, and then you basically again start with that hook, but trim out the first response and then add the additional. Like, that's how I would do it, but I don't know, Romero, maybe you have a better way.
That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to actually upload it as a media. So once you have your hook, download it, and then within a editor session, so if you open up a different clip, you can actually add video, add a media to it, whether that's audio, text, or video, or image.
Video.
We offer that. So I think that's one way to achieve it. In future, we are looking at allowing you to upload kind of an intro. I think for that, it's usually, I would say, because it's a template, it's more kind of thinking long-term. That's always going to be your intro. This feels like kind of more of a short-term. There's a couple, simple cycles or clip generations that you'd use the specific hook. You could use it that way and then just continuously update your intro hook to achieve that. But yeah, at the moment, like Annie mentioned, one way is to trim. The other way is just download the hook and just upload it into the editor.
Yeah, absolutely. And the follow-up question, are hooks not reused? I do think that you can reuse the hook. If you found a really good one, I wouldn't reuse it like indefinitely, but if it is applicable to a few shorts, TikToks and Reels, and it feels really strong, and you also see the evidence that it works, absolutely reuse it. That is done a lot in advertising. When you create ads, a lot of times you basically use one hook and then you kind of add different ways to kind of like respond to it in order to explain your product. So a lot of ad creative and variations actually feature the same hook and then like different visuals, different messaging, because of course ads is a lot of testing. So it is not uncommon to in social media, in video production content, to reuse the same hook. I would just say it does have a lifetime, right? Like, so eventually it will stop being hooky if you use it at every single opening of every single short. But if you did find something strong, absolutely give it some extra life with a few additional clips.
One way to also make the hook feel fresh, even though it's the same hook, is just to re-record the hook. I see this often. I'm trying to think. It was a very specific. It's very niche. But during lockdown, there was a guy making different flavored butters, and he used the same hook, but obviously the butter was different each time.
Yeah. What was the hook? What is the hook?
I think it was something like, "This is how you make butter," right? And it's always the same hook. It's just a different flavor. So I think there are ways to basically use the same hook but have a slight edge to it for each production.
This is how you make an clip. Maybe restream clip, maybe live clip, maybe vertical clip, clip. Love it.
I'll find it and I'll share it with you after.
This is good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Circuits FM is checking in saying, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, good to see you. And Sergio is checking in from LinkedIn saying, hi, good to see you guys. What are we talking about today? We're talking about Restream Clips and Restream Clips Powerful Editor, how to create your vertical content, how to automate that process, and also how to customize and make those clips and vertical highlights your own using Restream. So most of you hopefully will be very happy with the clips that we create automatically after every live show that you host. But if you really want to tune it a little bit and add some flair, customize captions, maybe translate them into different languages, add certain colors, reframe speakers, redo layouts, and trim the clips and the content that we selected, the Restream Clip Editor is the place to do all of that. Easy peasy. All right. So I think there's a comment from CircuitFM. Didn't Fabio use the same hook in his commercials back in the day? I do think that who's Fabio? Yeah, that's the first question. But I think it is very common for commercials to actually have similar hooks. I don't think they're exactly identical, but yeah, let us know who's Fabio and if you have a link to that specific commercial or multiple of them. But I can't believe it's not butter. Like we're back on the butter topic. I don't think I've seen that commercial, but I will look it up. I will definitely look it up. All things butter, says Mike from X. Good stuff. Famous.
It is all things butter.
Yeah,
that's the guy.
All things butter.
He actually started a
that is that the all things butter, or is that the Fabio guy? I think that is the Fabio guy.
This is famous Fabio
guy. This must be Fabio guy. All things. That's awesome. I love it. Well, thanks. All things butter. Cool.
Yeah. He actually, fun fact, started a butter company called All Things Butter.
Oh, really? He did?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I love that. Quick teaser time. We are adding timeline for clips, and Romario, I invite you to share a little more about that. How is that coming along?
Yeah, so this actually dropped maybe 3 hours ago already. So any project now, when you open it, you'll have the ability to navigate your entire video on a timeline. So obviously right now we present and order things based on virality score. But if you know there's a certain section of your stream or your video that you added that you know had a clip, you can now navigate much faster on that timeline. This is just the start. We see this kind of as the foundation for future iterations. So the next thing we're working on, we can actually see that we're going to allow people to actually trim on the timeline or select a range and actually generate additional clips. So this has been one of the biggest feature requests, is the ability to generate more within an existing project from an existing video file or stream. So this is going to be coming out very, very soon. So right now the foundation is there. You can now navigate much faster on a timeline. Very soon you'll be able to select on that timeline and generate additional clips. And then the next thing we're going to be introducing here is actually showing you, if you are using live clipping, which is one of our features, you'll be able to see clips being introduced dynamically as well.
Very cool. Exciting stuff. Yeah, we had a lot of that of requests about being able to kind of like see where clips are on the timeline and where and how. So because that gives you a little bit of context, because most of the time if you hosted or co-produce a stream, you can remember where you were at what point, yes. And that kind of gives you a quick like bird's eye view of where things are. This particular stream is a pretty long one. So this is close to 2 hours, I believe. Yeah. So that's why you have like such a long timeline and so many different clips, because we are live clipping as well as creating clips post stream. So for a lot of people who have shorter events and who choose to create, let's say 3-5 clips per event, it's not going to look as crazy. And yeah, there will be some visual improvements. I know we talked about that a little bit. I would like to see a little bigger so I can see the previews a little bit more pronounced. But that's all work in progress. Most importantly is that when you look at your list of clips, you can kind of see, like navigate where they were, like where those moments happened within the show. And if you remember the run of the show, you can actually kind of like use the timeline and pick the moments that you know, like in the end, there was something super exciting. Or right here in the middle, that's when a lot of action happened. So you can just simply click on that site instead of going through transcripts in the search of that very specific moment. So that's coming soon, I believe, like almost ready. When
the timeline's out and generating within the timeline and selecting to make additional clips, that will be soon.
soon. Awesome.
So this is
good
out.
stuff.
Go check it out.
Good. Go check it out. That's true. I actually did check it out because when I was sharing the settings and I was like navigating in my Clips project, it was already there. So that is true. That's a living proof that this is already out and active. Good stuff. Final Q&A, guys. We are going to transition into our very last question. So I'm going to go into the chat. And this is your last opportunity to ask us something related to Clips or not related to Clips. At this point, any questions, feedback, feature requests, and any kind of ideas that you have for us are super, super welcome. Let me get rid of this little subscriber reminder. We do remind you to subscribe and follow us on whatever channel and whatever platform you are watching on today. There is a question on the future topic. One recording, multiple ways to repurpose. That is a good topic. I like that. So Clips is definitely going to be one of those ways. I can name another 3 pretty easily. Let's see.
I can think of one other one, but maybe a third that I'm just missing.
What's your other one? Let's see if it matches.
Upload and stream. This is a test, isn't it?
This is a technical media trivia for the hosts. I love that. It is, yes. So upload and stream is another absolutely excellent way to repurpose. So clipping, then upload and stream. Upload and stream allows you to schedule your recorded video or previous stream to go live again at a different time zone or on different channels. You can also loop it. We did that as early as last week because I was out of office for a week and we were able to create a little compilation on best of episodes that featured me, Charles or Mario, our founders, and a lot of other people. And of course, we looped it. So people had 10 hours of our best of content, kind of a marathon. Great way to give this extra life to your content, engage your audience, and take a break if you really need that. Also, absolutely bulletproof way to stream for people who have internet connection issues, who are worried that they might lose power or something will happen to their computer. If you pre-record your stream and upload it and send it as live, it will always go live and it will never fail, even if your computer is not functioning. Yeah, last time I said something about throwing it into the river, but today we'll just say it's not functioning. The third way I was thinking is because Restream now provides great analytics and we also provide you with transcripts, is you can take that transcript and you can turn that into a lot of text content, right? A lot of times your conversations, your interviews, your demos are pretty filled with interesting stuff. You can very easily run it through AI, something like Claude or ChatGPT, and ask it to create little quotes. If you, for example, had an interview with a customer, little highlights, little snippets, something for social media. You can repurpose your whole live stream into multiple blog posts that are kind of covering different topics. And then, for example, even with this stream, what we could do is take the transcript, ask AI to create a series of blog posts that will match the scenes and the specific parts of our demo that we showed to you today. And then, since we already have all those assets, we already created the little videos, we can simply add the text from our own show that we already hosted and thought about. And that basically lets you schedule multiple different social media posts. But of course, you can simply make it into a single blog post, which will work pretty well for your SEO. So basically repurposing your stream into text is one way. Rescheduling it to go live again with upload and stream is way 2. And probably the most effective is still clipping. Highlights and vertical content performs really well. And since we cover so many different platforms, you can post your clips on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, of course, YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn. Even X currently supports vertical content. So you can experiment whether your viewership is more interested in vertical short form versus long form. Ideally, you should do both. So lots and lots of ways to take advantage of that feature and grow your audience and grow your channel with the content that currently social media platforms push and promote the most, which is vertical. Lots of love here. I have to admit that I absolutely appreciate and love our support team. They are superheroes. They're live 24/7, helping creators in all time zones, real humans. So every time I see some love for Restream support, I want to say thank you. And yeah, those guys are amazing. If you ever have any kind of question or any kind of feature request, feedback, or need some troubleshooting or testing, need help button is your place to go to talk to Restream specialists. And great team out there. Thank you very much. Great job. Awesome info. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for great and insightful questions. It was really, really good to see you in the chat. And hopefully we were able to cover some of your some of your hesitations and questions that you had. Hopefully you'll be trying clips very soon. Question from Technical Media. I love how we're about to wrap up. Just take a few last questions.
It's beginning.
And the chat is like, oh, love it. No, guys, keep going. Keep doing this. We will stay for as long as you guys have questions. Off topic, will there be a virtual camera output for those hybrid scenarios? What you can already do is using Restream scenes, you can create multiple different scenes, and you can upload pretty large videos, pretty long, like 30 minutes to 1 hour, depending on the plan that you have. And basically, you can auto-switch scenes with video in Restream Studio. So like how I would approach this if the I was tasked with this today, is I would create a stream and then create a countdown, then add videos, make sure I selected auto-switch. So after one video is done playing, it transitions automatically to another. And then towards the end of it, and I'm assuming that's what you're trying to do, to show some maybe past interviews or demos, and then in the end you want to show up and actually do the live Q&A or something like this. Then the last scene is actually your camera, and that's when you pop up and start hosting. It's not going to be entirely automated, so you do have to have your laptop open while all of that stuff is playing. But it allows you to play all those videos and then appear to your audience for the interactive part. Option 2 is to create a playlist. In that case, you won't be able to be there within the same live show interactively. But what you can do is you can schedule that playlist, play all those videos completely automatically. That's when your laptop can be thrown into the river. And then start a different show, fish the laptop out of the river, open it up, and then start a different event. Try it. Start a different event when you can, and basically make it very clear in the playlist that, hey, this is the demos. Watch them and then click this link. That's when I'm going to show up and be live for your questions. So depending on what's more important, to keep the same URL, but kind of like hover over your computer and make sure it doesn't go to sleep, or it's more important to be hands off for a couple of hours when you have the pre-recorded content, and then have the freedom to show up whenever you're ready. So those would be the two kind of like ways how I would approach that. Hopefully that helps, Technical Medium. There is another one here. Yep, I lost power during a Midwest thunderstorm, and the stream stayed up until my stream was back up and running. Didn't miss a bit. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was uploaded on stream or it was our Disconnect Protect, which is another great feature that we have. But either way, Restream keeps you online, even if the thunderstorm hits. So that's really good to hear. Thank you for sharing that story. Love that. So let's see, what else do we have here? Can you moderate and answer your own questions live by coming to your own pre-recorded content while it streams? You can. Here's what you can do, is you can pre-record your stream, and you can, if you use Restream playlists, you can actually then jump into chat, type up your questions, and then you can get into Restream Studio and highlight the questions that you typed for yourself on top of the video. I know it sounds a little complicated, and definitely feel free to reach out to our support. They can walk you through this in a little bit more detail. But generally, the flow works like this. You create a playlist. Even if the playlist is from one video, it's perfectly fine. And then basically that starts a studio stream that plays that video. And then you can jump on the platform and then create those questions, type them up, and then highlight them as questions asked from the audience. And if you time them right, it can potentially look like you're taking the questions from the audience. It's a very tricky and sneaky way to do it, but that can be done. Great question. Love that. there is some thanks and looking to output to external monitor or sources for my in-house guests. Okay, so that's for the hybrid streams. Got you. Good goose case. All right. Wanted to ask how to visit anyone's YouTube profile directly through someone's live pin. I'm not sure. That's something that I need to research. Someone's profile from someone's live pin. If you can elaborate on that, because if you're watching the stream on YouTube, if you click on the channel icon, that will take you to the whole channel. But the profile, if you're talking about the profiles of the people in the chat, I do not know if they're interactive. Maybe our moderator, Grant, who is currently in YouTube chat, can help us out here and tell us what happens. I do believe that you cannot click on people and their names and just get redirected, but you can search for that same name, and then you can find that creator or that YouTube profile afterwards. I do think that's done for privacy purposes by YouTube. So it's not because Restream it's basically the AMP platform, how they handle the chat. But I think I understand what you're trying to do, because I did have some commentators in the chat that I wanted to then find out and follow up with and reach out to, or look what kind of content are they making. And I do believe that I ended up just searching for that username and then finding that channel that way, because it doesn't really click, especially when the stream is live. But yeah, good question. Good stuff. All right. I would quick teaser for the next time. One of the most expected and anticipated features that we have in Restream is browser source. And next week, I am hoping to talk to you guys about exactly that, how you can use widgets in Studio and bring in any content such as scoreboards, donations, weather, live trading, Polymarket, all of those little widgets that you might be using, some overlay, animated and dynamic, how you can bring them to Studio. That's coming very soon. I know we kind of teased that earlier. It is still in the works, but we are really perfecting it. And once it's ready, it's going to be a total delight for everybody. So hopefully next week we are going to talk about widgets in Studio and how to bring any web source into your stream, easy peasy. So that is our plan for next week.
Worth the wait.
Worth the wait, as always. Very, very exciting. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for hanging out with us and for asking your great questions. Thank you. Let's go ahead. I know we wanted to bring Charles for just a little bit, since I see that the chat is still active and people are still asking. Let's get his couple of thoughts on the editor, since he is a professional editor. And yeah, I would just like to make sure we get him to join us today. So I'm going to unhide you, Charles. I hope you're ready, because I cannot really see you. But
am I going to be the middle child? I am.
Oh, you put me away.
No, actually, I'll let you do it. You have all the tools. You have all the controls.
Here we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There we go.
Here you go. You're back.
You caught me off guard there. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not coming on today. I won't worry about it.
I fixed your middle child problem.
Sorry, I have middle child syndrome.
Are you actually a middle child?
I am.
Really? Okay, very cool. Very cool. Is anyone else a middle child? Meaning you?
I'm the baby.
Oh, you're the youngest, and I'm the oldest.
I'm
the oldest child. So we have the full house. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I've been scribbling a whole bunch of notes. I feel like you guys have covered most of the stuff, and I feel like thinking as an editor, I would be saying set things up so it's all seamless for yourself. So if you need to edit the clips, then make sure you have styles set up, bring in your own branding, your own colors, make a note of what your brand colors are, what colors you like, and reuse those each time so that you are identifiable. And you can do that all obviously with the styles and things. I actually did a screen recording whilst you were talking about settings. So I had a screen recording of where you can go to those settings and there are a bunch of things that you should look in there that you can set up so that you're ready to go, so that every clip comes in a sort of uniform way. Because even before AI and all of this clipping stuff happened, every editor has a workflow. So you also need to be able to hand off projects to other people. So if you don't set things up in a logical way, other people can't pick up on your work. And therefore, it means that it's easier for you and for other people if you set up styles. In terms of reusing content, that's really useful. If you see something that's really good, be it a logo, an animation, or, content creators that say, today I'm going to make the butter, whatever. You might want to have that as all things butter. I looked him up. He does indeed have his own butter company. There's pictures of him holding up all these stacks of butter.
And cottage cheese.
And cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is like an internet phenomenon. Seems to be like there's a whole...
We're protein maxing now, so cottage cheese is the best way to do that.
I'm English, so I love cottage cheese on a jacket potato. I don't know if it feels like an English thing.
Very.
So I would then upload those bits and pieces in as high a quality as you could possibly get them, which sort of means that you want to make sure that your stream is high quality. So before you even get to the clipping, you want to think about your clipping while you're making content. So first of all, my lighting, I've been working on my lighting. You see my background is different. You can see I've got, I've been working on this, as have you, Anya, and Romario, you clearly have been too. But it's not just down to that. Also, set yourself up and set your guests up for success by using phrases that will clip well. So, for instance, let me do this. The best way to make clips for your show is to think about clipping as you go. So say things that are going to be easily made into clips. Just like this. This will get clipped and made into a moment. This very part will get clipped. Because what I did at the beginning was I immediately got into a hook, the best. I said the best, I used a phrase. And I told them what the value was going to be, is the best way to make clips, right? You know what the value is going to be. So you can engineer and you can script these things and work them into your content. That's a really useful thing for someone who is like myself that might be doing the post-production. Someone like myself who's going to be doing, the producing or whatever, needs to think about that too. So you can engineer these things. So set yourself up for success. I've got a whole bunch of notes. I think the other thing on terms of content is to understand what your goal is. Are you making clips to pull people to your show? Or are you making clips to get views on those clips? Those are two different goals. Those are two different types of content. And you always need to be thinking about that first 3 seconds, as you said, Anya, get people hooked in, but also think about so many people might be watching it in bed next to someone or on a train and they don't have headphones. You need to be able to watch this content when it's mute. And therefore you need to have captions that are in safe areas. They're very visible. And I'm speaking quite quickly. So you guys were talking about single line. We can all read quite quickly, but not everyone can read quite quickly. So 2 lines might be appropriate. The reason being, you can have those words highlighted, but it means the text as a whole is on for longer. And oftentimes we're not reading, we're sort of scanning. So even having that block of text on a bit longer helps people digest what it is you're talking about, even if they're only getting every 3rd word. So that's something to think about. Another thing to think about is your poster frame right at the beginning, because whenever I'm uploading videos to YouTube, shorts specifically, YouTube chooses really weird, for me, it chooses very weird frames. And so I put at the beginning, literally like a poster frame that I've designed, and then I can go into the app and I can select that as my poster frame. And I don't have to start scrubbing through and finding the right moment. I just go, right, I've already thought about that. That is perhaps something you could think about for, your short clips. You could perhaps say, today I'm making a show about this. Why not pre-prepare some? Yeah. And then you can upload those as assets.
Which, comes back to the assets uploading. Like Romario was saying that you can actually, you can pre-upload your hook as a video, but you can also pre-upload your image that gets like really nice. Gosh, this is my pain with a lot of clips. that those unflattering frames that sometimes do happen.
Right.
Which is natural because you're talking, right? Like, and when you're talking, especially if you're like me, you have like a lot of mimics and emotions. I talk with my hands, like a full blown Fabio way. So for me to catch a frame when I don't look insane is not very easy for the poor marketing team and producers and editors. So actually, like doing some stills and then uploading them as first frames is actually a very good pro tip, and that's so good to know that our editor allows to pre-upload some assets into your clips.
But and again, you got to set yourself up for success because the editor can only do so much. And now think about framing. Look at how the three of us have all got our eye lines aligned. I'm a little bit higher, so if I move away now, I'm maybe
that's an accident. That was not planned. But yeah, we are.
So think about how will the editor clip this for me? The more you can do to help it, the more it's going to do to help you. In order to think about a narrative in your what you're making, think about a story. Even in 20 seconds, you can get a narrative in, and sometimes making it slightly discombobulating can cause people to watch again. Like, what was that? Hang on, did I miss something? So you could give the value right up front, but then not necessarily explain it until towards the end. Does that make sense? Like, and
it's actually another clever tactic to just almost say it too quickly, or almost say it too kind of in the way that like makes a person watch it again, and then you get this extra watch time. Yeah, so it's a hacky way to think about it.
Absolutely. And then, sorry, I know I'm a bit all over the place because I've been writing different notes. I think you also, in order to keep interest, sometimes you need to add edits between people, cut between people, show reactions, because with the very nature of short form content is that it needs to move quite quickly. And so if you've just got someone monologuing, that may not, and even monologuing for 10 seconds may be too long. Try and cut to reactions. If you're going to add B-roll, make it relevant. And if it's not really relevant, it could be that it looks more like slop. So just be careful with how you illustrate things. Try and make it relevant. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put someone, on the bottom half, and then I'll add something relevant above. And so you've still got that interest in by having that cuts. Yeah. The other thing is the Restream clipping system, like all systems, is evolving. So what's happening, what's working today may get even better tomorrow. So keep testing, keep experimenting, keep coming back, keep using it. And, you'll see that, if you look at how clipping started a year and a half ago, maybe, it was pretty good. Out the gate, it was pretty good. Now it's getting really good. It's getting really good. It's finding the right faces and things like that.
And the next stop is great. So that's the destination we're all bound to. They started pretty good.
What's up to great?
Yeah, let's get it to great. Thank you so much, Charles. This was our senior producer and editor, so he knows his stuff, and a few takes on how editing works and why what to pay attention if you are new and you're just exploring our Clips editor. With that, thank you so much to you guys for co-hosting with me.
Thank you.
You are awesome. Thank you, Grant, for being our moderator, and thank you, Alexa, who was clipping for us live today. I saw we had a lot of great clips already posted on all of our channels. We were live today on more than 14 different destinations, including our pair channels. You've seen us in vertical and horizontal. And we had lots of great questions today. Thank you for the audience. You are the reason why we show up for this live Q&As. And we will see you next Wednesday with our next live show. Thank you all. See if my hearts work. My hearts work.